right, guys, to start this episode, we need to go back to 2018 when I went on my very first Dust Ball rally. I met a great friend there, and we kept kicking around the idea of taking the most impractical vehicle possible on one of these rallies. Well, it was then officially announced that the Dust Ball, during one of their 1K rallies, which is El Paso to Las Vegas, they were introducing the Daredevils. We had a $1,000 budget to purchase a vehicle and travel those 1,000 miles. But if you're not fully familiar with the story,
we purchased a 1985 Honda Accord stretch limousine for $700. In my research, it was a Marquise Custom Coaches. He had planned to build 300 of these to counteract the wastefulness that was the Cadillac and the town car limo. You didn't need to have such a large vehicle to display your opulence. It had a TV, a wet bar, which was really impressive. It was the most optioned of them all. It had rear air conditioning, the divider window, a telephone to talk front to back, everything you want in your limousine. Needed brakes, of course. The sitting brakes rot, so you got new brakes all the way around. Ordered the finest competition, Amazon rated 13-inch tires that you could find. And by competition, I mean just the cheapest ones that I could put in the cart. The engine runs fantastic. Transmission works, brakes are now stopping. Fairly well sorted car, but it tends to overheat, and the reasoning is the electric fan switch to turn on the cooling fans to remove the heat doesn't work. So now we have this ridiculous limousine with a camouflage camo top on it, stickers, hideous looking and beautiful. We set out to El Paso, the start of the rally.
And as the Long Channel watchers know, did not go well.
We're gonna have to limp Honda Rousey back. Unfortunately, we think our exuberant playing yesterday has finished her off. So she's gonna have to go back. She'll sit, eventually get shipped back to Georgia, and she'll be back in the future. She'll redeem herself.
It's amazing. You make memories with friends. That was really, honestly, the first trip my friend Henry and I ever took together. So, sometimes we build cars that have no business being built and should be scrapped because of memories. And sometimes we build them because they are absolutely the most epic thing ever built, and we're gonna make them even better. Recently, in an episode couple back, we got the engine we're putting in together. But there are not really many substantial brake or suspension upgrades for a mid-80s Honda, but there are plenty for a 2000 Mark IV Jetta. So, today's episode, we're gonna do something that we've not been able to do for years. We are gonna make our 85 Honda Accord limousine sit on 4 tires and roll. We've been rolling it with chassis dollies and pinch weld dollies and floor jacks and sheer determination. But today, it's gonna roll on 4 tires. I actually started this process many months ago, and then she got stuck outside and then brought back in again. So let's go way back in our time machine, take a look at what I did back then, and we're gonna pick you back up this past week, and we made an 85 Honda Accord named Honda Rousey meld a little bit with a 2001 Jetta that I now call Das Honda Rousey. The Honda, German for the, yeah? Makes sense. But even before we do that, quick word from today's sponsor, Titan. We're gonna get you sleeping better than ever. That's right, we're talking more about sleep and specifically mattresses today. You don't have to spend a ton of money anymore to get the best possible product, and that rings true with Titan mattresses as well. They recently sent out their Titan Plus queen size with their matching bed frame. We set that up in our guest room. With a little interference from the dogs, it was something new and exciting going on. They had to get in the way, and we had it thrown together and ready to sleep on in 15 minutes, and that was with 2 giant dogs. Your results might vary. It inflates almost instantaneously. It was impressive watching this thing come to life. I'm sure you guys have had to come home from work and you just need to lay down for 15, 20 minutes and decompress from the socially exhausting thing that may be a medical office like my wife. well, she finds herself leaning towards the Titan mattress in the guest room for that little decompress. Now, we've had the mattress for just about a month in the house, and I will tell you what, it is incredibly comfortable, and having the best mattress and tool for the job without spending, insane pricing is critical. Everything and everyone wants your money right now. Make sure you spend it smart. Speaking of smart, you get a 120-night sleep satisfaction guarantee, and you are buying it factory direct. There's no weird store that you don't know how they stay in business because there's only 2 cars in the parking lot and that's the employee. You order direct from manufacturer, it gets shipped straight to your door for free. And another great feature is the warranty. We always talk about warranties and how important they are in our tools. Well, you get a 10-year warranty on the mattress as well. Now, if you're ready to take a look and find the right mattress to help you sleep, head over to titanmattress.com, see which one is gonna fit your sleep profile and needs best, and use that code questionable. 30% off, free shipping, a better night's sleep. Like, what's not to love about that whole deal? I gotta really thank Titan Mattress once again for sponsoring not just the channel, but a good night's sleep. TitanMattress.com, enter that code questionable, 30% off. And when you guys do that, you continue to help support the channel, because supporting the sponsors that support us lets us keep building things. Like, I gotta get the Ferrari truck, we got Honda limos, we got sports satellites, we got lots of things. And I'm gonna need a good night's sleep to get it all done. As you can tell by the unwrapped Earl leaker in the background and how sunny it is outside, we did jump back quite a few months. The most important part of any major suspension swap is trying to find some center lines, going back and forth, measuring, and coming up with a good reference point that you can then run across the car and make most of your measurements off of. So after finding a good center line, I ran a piece of tape across the front of the car and used that to help with some of my measurements. Working to measure and get the subframe positioned the best I could, left to right, front to back, and diagonally. As you can tell, there's no easy way to do this other than measure a whole lot and make sure you remember to wear your belt. After getting that front end mocked into place, we fired up the arc droid so we can go ahead and fully box it in and give it its home. Just so that way I can show you we're not just relying on an outside boxing into the unibody. I'm running some really thick wall. I'm not gonna be able to get 100% weld around it just because of how it goes in. We're gonna be able to get enough to keep that locked in place, and that's gonna transfer the load a little bit better directly into where the original subframe bolted in right here. So this is a very strong section of the unibody. So we're gonna have Jetta flat plate boxed with a lot better welds when we're done with it. That was just kind of ugly. Going to this box tube, and then this whole section is gonna be boxed in with all those panels we just cut out. So we're gonna be really good and rigid in the front, and then we could figure out that rear solution. Are you guys ready to see a world first? I feel pretty confident in this being a world first. Could be wrong. There's crazier people than me out there, but there is a 2001 Jetta subframe fully mounted into a Honda Accord limousine from 1985. Now there's still a lot of little welding and finishing to go. I've got to pull this out to do the finish welding on our rear braces. You'll see our floor is not very flat. Between floor jacks and a lot of other things, it's been crushed a little bit. Even here, I'm gonna have to hammer that flat from the inside so I can, weld that all the way in.
but it is bolted in and a structural part of the car. There you go. Nothing a little hammering from the inside won't do. So now we've got that a little bit better contoured. We're going to go ahead and seam weld it, and I've got just a couple holes to plug weld, and then we can weld up our two bend lines. That actually kind of helped contour the floor a little bit. So we'll get those stitched up here that way. We are going to cap this on both sides when the subframe comes back out. I'm gonna keep one little access port for the nut. Normally that would be a captive nut. So we're gonna have one spot to slide a wrench in, but we'll end up capping the front off, doing an L bracket back into this unibody section. I don't know about that. We may not worry about that. Like, we're not gonna worry about this. This is where we got stuck trying to turn around where we shouldn't have and drug it across the grass. Who knows what we're doing? But we're having fun. Well, all right, our spec for camber, perfect. Caster, it's saying 8 degrees. We're nowhere near 8 degrees. We do have some negative caster, more than that's reading, but I need proper gauges to get it 100%. And what I'm really looking at is I'm in a position where I can make this bolt in. Just drill it out, run some bolts. If I wanted any more negative caster, or I'm sorry, positive caster, I need to get the top of this further back, and we really can't do it. And underneath, we're already at the back of the bell. So the practical thing is $350 camber plates. They go in, replace just the center bushing, and you will drill and actually you bolt it in so it stays in a fixed position, but it's meant to go in and out. Well, if I mount it like my drift cars at an angle backwards, I can use it to get the caster I need. So that's what we're gonna do. We are gonna put it together with the wrong caster. We're gonna have the right camber. Everything else is landing where it should be, and we're gonna let that caster be wrong. And when it's all together, measured, and we order our coilovers, we're gonna get those adjustable hats so we can get caster where we want it.
The best illustration of caster is most everyone has ridden a 10-speed bicycle or any bicycle, and you'll see how the fork that your front wheel attaches to kind of swings forward, and it makes a nice smooth ride where you can take your hands off the handlebar and just ride for a nice long time. If you ever then turn your handlebars backwards and try to ride that way, and how wobbly and just ill handling your bicycle became, that is how caster directly relates into vehicles.
Great steering response, but no stability. So that's one thing we do want to try to get in the car, because we do plan to run it at some speed. What I am going to do is raid my bolt bins. We're gonna go ahead and bolt this cap in. I'm gonna put the limiter on so that stays put, and then we're gonna try to match up that side to it, and then I'm gonna put some wheels on it, just because we need to. I'm just looking at this car. It is such a pile, but the memories, like, sometimes you question if it deserves it, and the answer a lot of times is no, but we do it anyway because we're car people. Or at least that's what I'm going to tell myself. I think it is time. I'm pretty excited, also incredibly nervous. If you notice, we have 2 Volkswagen retention caps on our Honda, and we got some Jetta wheels. And I'm pretty happy, just like the initial eyeball of how they're sitting to the loose fenders. I feel like all the measurements did indeed work out pretty close to how they're supposed to be. The rear is just gonna go back on the dollies for right now. I'm curious, with no weight, how high does this sit? Okay, it's going up. Okay, I think it's sitting a lot taller than we intended, but that's okay. I'm okay with this. Because we wanted a little more ground clearance. This shock, I think that upper mount is bad, because if you compare it to this one, that's okay. Coilovers, they're gonna fix all of it. They're gonna fix the ride height. We're gonna get it just a little bit lower. I can get my camber the way I want, put the wheels where they belong. I don't know, you guys tell me. I'm proud of it. It's stupid. It's a questionable project. That's what we do. But actually, I don't hate that ride height. We had a lot of problems with the bottom dragging. Maybe we keep it tall. You guys tell me. We've got a lot of time before we order suspension. Look, the rear tires are under it. Not even close. I mean, they're physically underneath it, but now we need to start doing a whole lot of measuring so we can get that connected to the floor. And then we have to figure out the shock and the spring mounts. There's a lot to do, but we need to measure, get this thing squared left to right under the body, and then the same distance from the front wheels on each side. I know a lot of you are asking why. Why are we doing this? For the love of cars? I don't know. We have good memories and we want to make this something fun to drive again. There were moments that it wasn't very fun the first time around, but it was fun with friends. So now we're gonna have way too much horsepower. That's all gonna get fixed. But what we do need to do is kind of go through and get these ready to graft in. So this, I can either make a new plate and use these as templates, or hopefully actually find a position that these can get cut, modified, and then welded into the floorboard of the Honda. These are just the little upper spring pucks. That is where the spring will land. And then those are our shock mounts. So again, first things first, get the axle in roughly the right position, rotate it up so we can then start working on planning on our floor. The ride height's gonna be a smidge tricky, mostly because we're light, a whole lot of weight in the front. So I'm gonna probably aim for this maybe to be 1.5 inches lower. Again, things we can fix when we get the custom springs and shocks and coilovers and all that made. We're just trying to make it as good as possible before we do that, so we don't have to do too much weirdness later. But none of it's gonna happen until I get tape measures and start measuring, so I'll get to some of that. We will pick you up on the camera once I get a little bit more interesting stuff going on. And we are gonna have a rolling Honda limo again, hopefully today. You guys want to see something really, really crazy? Last you saw was a bunch of sparks flying around. And now we have a Jetta rear trailing arm in a Honda limo. What's really kind of crazy is how everything is landing out. So the upper mounts, I'm gonna be able to salvage. I contemplated building a little adapter. We still might do that, I'm not 100% there, but come back here, spring. When we look at our coil spring and where it needs to land, it sits the tiniest bit off center like it's supposed to. I've got it where I want to catch, and then I'm guessing that's about the right weight. Again, the final springs, we can work with that a little later. But I got my line there and there. We're gonna cut that section out. We're gonna weld in a little bit of this box into there to give us a nice flat spot. And then we are gonna cut and salvage that spring mount, which
it lines up pretty much perfectly. Everything is going where it's supposed to be, which honestly is absolutely terrifying. Any of you have done one of these crazy swaps that make no sense? When things kind of start working, you get really nervous. But I could use a few things to go in our favor. I've got to have this girl on the ground and rolling today to kind of stay on schedule at all. We've got a lot of cars and a lot of projects. I need my lift back for pretty much all the other ones. Please, Rousey. I know she looks rough now. I know you look rough. But we're doing good things. We're making it so much cooler than it ever should have been. So hopefully she continues to cooperate a little bit. Probably not. Never. Well, as you could tell from the GoPro footage, we did a lot more welding, and I have rear tires on it. That means it's almost time to put it on the ground. I'm unbelievably excited for this. It's been a very long day. You can tell by my hands. Honestly, though, it's fall time. This could be 2 p.m. and getting that dark. One thing, I'll be honest, we didn't do upper shock mounts. The more I was cutting and fitting and trying to decide what I wanted to do there, I realized I can just order up QA1 or even from whatever coilover company we end up with, a longer shock with the correct shaft adapters to use the Honda upper mounts. I was gonna make a huge problem for myself that I didn't need to do. It's just a standard, eyelet on the bottom and just the right shaft up top. Also, I forgot, that coil spring is broken, but I have limiting straps on. We got our springs basically in position. I need to box them, but again, none of that matters for this moment here, which is gonna be a little tricky because I have to pull my release and push the button. I got my GoPro running over there. How about, can we bounce? I have a phone holder. Maybe it will stand up good enough on its own. Let's see. Can't quite get me in the shot too, but you'll get me here in a second. Oh, come on, Rousey. Even though it's a quote unquote big car, it still lowers incredibly slowly. Okay. Tires make contact at almost the same time. We're settling down. It is off the lift and it's on the ground. Oh. Again, we've got no weight up front, so it sits really high, but actually the rear, that rear is lining up pretty good. That's the height I envisioned for the car, and it gives us a lot more clearance underneath. The wheels visually look pretty good. You know what that means? I just need to put the steering column, some version of it. I don't know if it's going to be all Honda with the Volkswagen shafts. Any of you have done anything on a car, any amount of just uncomfortable, unusual, and weird, the moment it sets down and it kind of looks like it might just work, you feel like the biggest, best car builder in the whole world. I got the rough articulation right. It is a little closer in the front because as this goes up more, it shifts slightly backwards.
Oh my goodness, guys. Okay, something I'm gonna do that she hasn't done in a long time without being on those. It rolls. It rolls. This stupid car is getting so much closer to being back to life once again. It's steering column day. It's the next day. I am still over the moon excited seeing a Honda limo rolling on 4 tires. It's been a lot of work, a little tired, a lot of little fabrication and welding and banging, but now we have to make this steer, because to me, a rolling chassis is something that rolls and steers. We're not gonna have brakes, we're not gonna have anything else, but it's gonna be able to roll across the ground. Something just fell down over there. So, sitting right here, we have our Volkswagen column. I had thought about potentially running this. There's lots of potential benefits with the computer setup to have the modern everything in there. Cruise control built into the stocks, a bunch of things. But I mocked it in off camera, and it's gonna take a lot to make it go into the car, and once we've done that, it kind of ruins all the dash and things like that. So, in the spirit of keeping the inside as Honda-ish as possible, I just bolted the original column in there. But if we look down here, our shafts are actually looking really good. The way the Honda went in is it had a slip joint, elbow, universal right there. And that's almost what we need, but the splines are wrong. So what we're gonna do is, as you notice, you should only have 2 universals per non-supported section. If you don't, it's gonna bind and lock up. We ran into a lot of that with Tryhard. So we have 1 universal there, so we can put 1 there. This one right here. So what I am thinking is we will cut this section free. I don't know if it's hollow. I think it is hollow. I'll try to press it enough to make it round again, to then go on those splines, line it up, and weld it. That's the plan. How successful that plan goes is yet to be seen. And then we'll be done. I'm a day and a half late from when I needed to have footage to Dwayne, both on other projects and things like that, but you cannot rush. You cannot rush Honda Rousey. All right, well, I'm gonna just kind of extend this and cut it long. Steady. All right, well, that's a solid bar stock. That makes making it round to slide over a lot more difficult. All right, some Thunderbolt. You guys got your well worth yet? You should. Save money. You got that code now. I mean, that's why you want it. Look at that. Couldn't even get it on and it just flops right in there. Okay, so we're gonna go tubing. That's what we're gonna do. Oh yeah, with that butted up, I feel confident in the weld I'm gonna be able to make on that. So this is gonna be our piece, just to save Dwayne from having to do sensitivity warning. I'm gonna throw this in, get it welded on, and pick you up. For you guys, it'll be like right now. For me, it'll be about 15 minutes. Look at this. This thing is able to roll. You saw it roll out of the shop. I rolled it here. I steered it here. And that ride height actually is pretty good. I think we may not be too far off once we put
the weight in the front, the diesel, the intercooler, the radiator. I think this thing, we're not gonna actually need to lower it much. We're just going to get really good quality factory stuff and we might be in the right spot. This was a big task. It was a big undertaking. A lot of measuring that I don't know worked correctly just yet. We're gonna find that out when the car is fully together and on an alignment rack, and if I gotta get kind of crazy to get our geometry 100%, but visually, all the tires look like they should be where they should be. It rolled incredibly straight and true on the concrete and around. That, again, that doesn't tell us everything, but the fact that it rolls and steers and does what it should is a pretty good indicator, and I'm thrilled with how it all came out with. We kept the Honda steering wheel, so it's going to be a little bit more truer to herself inside. So what's next when it comes to Honda Rousey, das Honda Rousey? Again, dust ballers. They're an amazing group of people, great family, and they all kind of want to come and have a fun wrench fest, very much like what we did when we built the cross-country Cannonball bus. But I kept telling them, wait, because this took all of my focus to get it pretty much right. Now it's a matter of, there's a lot of rust to fix. There's a whole other car we need to cut apart carefully so we can patch into this car. There's some small fabrication that needs to happen, and then there's putting the engine in and starting to figure out fuel system, lots of parts to buy. So we're going to have a lot of special guests when we're putting this thing back together, because sometimes a car isn't just mine, there is a community behind it, and you see all the dust ball livery. You've seen me on a lot of dust balls, so it's only right for everyone that wants to, that's part of the community, to be able to have a hand on it. So next Honda Rousey episode will be pretty much trying to get the body work done. We're going to try to get the rear quarters and rear rust fixed from the old top. Those vinyl tops, you see it on the classic Mopars, you see it on the not so classic Honda Limos. It completely destroys a car when they sit and moisture gets in there. Even though this thing was in California, it's still rotted away. But that's the next round. We are going to get the rust taken care of. We're going to get quarter panels back on it, and we're going to get a roof made on it and the interior fully stripped out. Then it's get the drivetrain in it, get a fuel system in it, get a radiator and intercoolers built. That's going to be a whole lot too. There's a lot of work, and I appreciate you guys being excited about seeing Honda Rousey come back. I appreciate all of the support for all of the projects. We've got a lot of crazy ones. So next video won't be a Honda Rousey video. Don't worry, it's not going around away again for years. It's gonna be a couple weeks. There's, again, a lot of people to coordinate, just because they'd be very angry if I didn't let them show up. So rather than have problems, I'm gonna take in some help. So we've got a lot to still get done. We've got a couple cars that are just gonna be in and out in one episode. We've got a Ferrari truck. We've got a drift car that's getting a whole new computer system to hopefully finally run right, because I enjoy drifting and I kind of miss it. It's a lot of fun. So we've got a Ford Econoline that's also coming up. So don't worry, we have got a lot coming up that you guys seem to enjoy. So we're gonna keep working through all the projects. We're gonna get them running and hopefully keep you entertained, if not slightly more educated than when you started the video. Or you're gonna comment below and I'll be more educated than when you started the video, because I appreciate learning every day as well. I'm Jared, reminding you guys to always make questionable choices, and don't be afraid to tackle big projects a little bit at a time, because again, if all you do is look at the whole thing, it's gonna feel like you can never get it done. But if you look at and do the little things, you're gonna have a running car sooner than later. We'll see you next time.